Ever since discovering the Big U's departure from potentially restored tourist attraction, gleaming with a new lease on life and a renewed purpose, to an underwater city for marine life and those with a certified diver's license, the spirit of the memorabilia and paraphernalia I've collected over the years have hit different. The original Life magazine spreads I have hanging on my wall no longer inspire me, but instead hit me with a certain unavoidable and unwelcome dread. And yet something keeps me from dismounting them just yet, with the exception of the Save the Ship pamphlets from the Conservancy, that is. Perhaps it would feel like a petty and shallow action to take. Perhaps more so, it's still such a surreal and liminal situation laid upon my heart. The sizable reality in the end rests upon the ship's outer condition. Since the ship arrived in Philadelphia and got stripped of all the asbestos and consequently, therefore, its former mid-century quirk and character well over 3 decades ago, it has been a surreal and liminal space both literally and figuratively as it is. So it really comes as no surprise that the Big U, as she's been affectionately called, is becoming something of a lost footnote to history. You can't keep everything from history after all, and most ships do indeed get scrapped, facing the breaker's torch once their initial purpose is completed and their financial capital disbanded. But that's just the irony of it all, pun intended. Most ships get scrapped. It's a rare anomaly that a vessel meant for the sea should become a permanent floating attraction well after its use. And like a poetic statement on value, we are more than just
busy little bees, full of stings, making honey day and night. Aren't we, honey?
That artful whimsy and that joie de vivre can shine itself beyond economy. What value are we beyond what we can produce to feed the machine?
Well, it's time. She's done. She's lovely. We must feed the monster.
And the Big U was just that copious, not so naive hope so many of us had flittering like the light and vulnerable and yet so beautiful and preciously free spirit of the butterfly in our hearts. Many comments insist the Conservancy failed the ship. Many ask why no one, not the government, not the rich millionaires to billionaires flaunting their wealth and space-aged ideas, neither the people stepped in to save this cherished piece of American history. Many even, apart from the ocean liner community, state that it's the perfect metaphor for the state of our country right now. A good handful defend the Conservancy, saying they did everything they could.
It's really fundamentally about money. She's big. This is a big project, and we aren't naive and so it's going to take a lot, but we think we're getting there.
Some question their business practices. Did all the money really go toward the ship, or was there money laundering somewhere behind the scenes?
Since then, there have been a number of owners with dreams and plans and depredations along the way.
Some regret ever contributing to the Conservancy, what with the depths of this great ship's watery end. Some think the ship be better scrapped instead of rotting on the sea floor and thought of in such a dark and desolate place, while others contend that she will still be with us in some form and remembered better because of such a protectedly sought-after wreck curated for such accessible and approachable purposes. I think one thing we can all allegedly agree on is that Penn Warehouse's push to evict the ship, or else, didn't help in this great effort and was even allegedly the conniving villain in all this. Greedy, pushy, arrogant. The Pier would make more money for the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, if freighters and cargo ships were docked there, bringing in far more capital than the average $60,000 a month the Big U provided. No one is arguing that, I want to say. Still, how much longer would it be before she was carried off with the same fate for a different financial and economic reason? Would we be prolonging the inevitable, or was there a chance? Some passionate millionaire financier, well-wishers banding together at the right place at the right time? Can we now stop holding our breath and finally exhale? Or is that exhale leading us to a blood-boiling vein exposure due to the injustice this mean-spirited bullying, if I do indeed have my facts straight, expedited. And just how much does this affect my life, really? I couldn't help but inquire of myself and the multitude who share in my sentiment. We all want to be heard. Sometimes you must sacrifice your own interests for the greater life and liberty of the greater populace. But I think of the excitement and joy the Queen Mary brings me. Though she is in some ways an echo of her former glory, the experience is unmistakable, irreplaceable, irresistible. And in my 2 decades of boarding her, the casual visitor and the enlightened obsessor both have the same testimony. Both are enriched by a gift that you simply can't get anywhere else. It's the same vision our Restoration Nation has for old houses and structures from long ago, the same reason Janie of the League-Kemper house is spending her time, talent, and treasure on a huge mansion that is a fussy mess to restore. A true labor of love, to put it more preciously and tastefully. Like the quality of value I addressed earlier, it's also the love for preservation. The ending is not better than mending principle that drives us to spend the time and the effort and the money to keep and treasure instead of tearing down and replacing. The act and art and attitude of retaining reminds us of where we came from and what we can learn for better and for worse, and how we made it to where we are today. It makes the past real and tangible. While we call out and keep accountable the evils of the past, we too see the beauty and the things of the past that were good and that we can learn from. While some things they did worse, some things they did better. And to tangibly walk the decks of the Queen Mary, I am in awe of how they did these good things back then, while seeing in a wiser hindsight how we can most certainly do certain things better. Peering over at the distant bow from the bridge wing, viewing the bridge wing from the mighty bow, the distinctive curves and shapes of the decks, Art Deco if you will, the quality of craftsmanship, knowing that there is nothing else like this anywhere else anymore, brings us excitement and renewed energy at what once was, and still is on some liminal plane of reality, with us. It reminds us too that as fragile as life is, tender and merciful it can be as well. That is why the loss of the SS United States hit so hard for so many of us, I do believe. When I see pictures and footage of the mighty and yet artful structure, my heart sinks like the ship soon shall from the loss of this beautiful experience we will forevermore be deprived of. And yet, life goes on. Comme ci, comme ça, que sera, sera, c'est la vie. All things of this earth are born, and all things of this earth shall pass. The memory of the ship still remains, and the legacy and wisdom and joy she brought also still remain, as long as we the people keep it alive. There will be new big U's in generations to come, and we can be proud that things were done to try and save her, while we can learn from the things that should have been done for other similar endeavors. As for me, that sense of loss will never fully go away, as it were. We humans are sensitive creatures after all. We hurt too much. We lose too easily. Fragile is the world we live in. But I can also turn it into something to fuel fire for other things worth saving. And the joy the ship, albeit vicariously brought to me, wasn't for nothing. In 2010 in particular, it brought my artistic skills and prospects to the Conservancy calendar. A certain respect and understanding of the type of engineering that went into building her, a better appreciation for mid-century modern design and culture, and the hope and expectation for life that ships in the sea bring to me. In other words, she is still with us.
She was still here, still kind of proud and forgotten, but there was a strength and a beauty, and I was kind of surprised that I myself had lost touch with the ship, and so had the nation.
Ship continues to bring so many people together from all walks of life, from all generations, and so many people are moved to tears when they come aboard this beautiful ship.